I hit record, then I looked around my studio and it's absolute chaos in here. Now, I had another video ready to go out this week, but then my doors showed up for that collaboration from Dendra Doors. They are hiding in a box right over there, or kind of behind a box. If you're watching and you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure to hit that button because that is going to be a super interesting collaboration and it is coming up really quickly. Now, I had another video ready to go out this week, but in light of those doors coming, I figured let's continue last week's discussion. Let's look at some of those popular choices, some of those popular trends people are actually choosing in their renovations, and dissect the top 10 photos on Houzz from this summer. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. When I first saw this list of the top 10 kitchens on Houzz from the summer this year, I had a bit of a chuckle to myself because it really hammered home some of the points and some of the things I was seeing with my clients last year. So let's dive right in. At number 10, we have a comfortable wood and white kitchen. The first thing I see right off the bat is the size. This kitchen really shows off the fact you can create a functional space in a smaller footprint. I think this designer did a great job at taking into account the home's traffic flow. This kitchen is rather unique in the fact that it's got a challenging aspect in the walkway going upstairs. Instead of blocking that walkway, this kitchen is laid out in a manner that allows the free movement up and down the stairs while keeping traffic out of the main kitchen. There are no appliances in the island, something I really like, even though it is a common move for a lot of people working with smaller spaces. I also like that the range hood is white, seamlessly blending in, almost hiding it to prevent it from becoming an eye grabber. The only thing that sticks out in this space that I might approach differently is the cabinet that's sitting on the countertop to the right of the sink. This really limits the amount of working space around the sink and could cause some congestion for those that set their dirty dishes off to one side while cooking, or, just like to stack them up there. Number 9 is a really moody Spanish revival sort of kitchen. Now, there's a lot going on in this space and it's too bad that they don't have any more photos of this project, so we're just gonna go with what we can see. Let's start off with the navy blue and wood combo. As I said last week, a very popular choice this year. I can see a large fridge and freezer combo, again something that is very popular, and what appears to be 2 dishwashers, really driving home the fact of multiple, numerous appliances. I think the arch over the range and the terracotta floor are great ways to pay tribute to that Spanish style, and the range area offers a perfect focal point to the space as a whole. I don't really love the wood countertop and wood island combo. It's a little heavy for me amongst the dark navy cabinets. I would have rather seen the same white marble countertop here. That's a pretty cool kitchen though. It's well laid out, it's got a good functional setup for working in, it's a good size kitchen. It's maybe not for me in terms of general style, it's a little bit too much open shelving. I would like a few more wall cabinets if it were my space. However, overall I think it's really well done. The next kitchen we have up is a modern farmhouse. Again, not a very common style, it's starting to recede a little, but I think this one's pretty cool, and you definitely don't see cabinets like this every day. These are natural alder cabinet fronts showcasing those knots and heavy grains, again with the wood and white combo. They did a great job pulling this whole design together. Clean white cabinets to the ceiling, simple countertops so they aren't competing with the wood doors. And I really do. I think those wood doors are meant to be sort of the showpiece of this kitchen, or at least that would be my guess. I like the black elements in this space. You see it in the hardware, you see it in the lights, the chunky island stools. And once again, we see the number of appliances really starting to creep up with a large cooktop, dual wall ovens, and a warming drawer. I also want to use this kitchen to bring up a really important point, and an often overlooked point or overlooked part of kitchen designing, and that is planning for power and electrical in the kitchen island. They plan for power in the island in between the drawer cabinets facing the main working area of the kitchen. This is instead of having to tuck it inside the cabinets or poking it outwards on the ends of the island. I'm starting to think that this is going to turn into a little bit of a longer video. I really like dissecting photos like this. I think it's a great inspiration and it is a really good practice to figure out why you like a particular space. Instead of just continually swiping by saying like don't like, figure out why you actually like these spaces and what those particular designers have done well. So that brings us to number 7. It is a really dramatic 3-tone kitchen highlighted by tons of gold accents. I wasn't really sure where to focus in this kitchen, and I'm really curious to hear all of your thoughts on the space, so let me know down below. I will start out by saying I like the 3 tones. They do work well together. Once again, there's tons of appliances in this space and they add a lot of stainless steel to the overall design. I could take or leave that. It's a bit of a contrast to the heavy dark colors. I didn't realize this was a closed-in kitchen space, kind of separate from the rest of the areas of the house until browsing all of the photos. So I'll say the designers did a really good job at harnessing the natural light, mixing up the doors to include some glass fronts with interior lighting, and keeping the space from feeling claustrophobic. I mean, this really is a big space, but it does use a lot of dark colors. There is a lot of gold, a lot to look at, and it's a really big space. It makes me wonder if they amalgamated the dining room and kitchen maybe into one large area, something the homeowners were probably requesting, maybe a bigger space, that eat-in kitchen aspect. And it's got a lot of features that I'm sure they love. And that's sort of the point of design, is just because it's maybe not my taste, I'm sure the homeowners absolutely love that finished space. What we can take away from it is that three-tone kitchens can work as long as you mix and match those colors or tones in the wood really well. And it's important, really important, to bring in as much natural light as you can when using those darker colors. Let's move along to a Scandi-inspired space at number 6. I love the seamless, clean lines of this kitchen. The first thing I notice is all horizontal lines in the space, the countertops, the cabinets, straight hood and wall ovens, even the graining on the cabinet doors is horizontal. These are the details that make a huge difference when it comes to designing a space. It shows a lot of forethought, a lot of planning, and really helps pull that whole design together. It also elevates the space beyond just a regular renovation. I like how they wrap the countertop up the backsplash and opted for a pattern with a bit more movement as opposed to just white. I also like that there's a lack of a focal point or a lack of a in-your-face area to this kitchen. Whereas I didn't really know where to look in the previous kitchen, it was just sort of all over. In this particular space, even though there isn't a focal point, the whole space just collectively draws you in. It's really clean, it's really comfortable. The rattan chairs add a nice texture. The black lights and black appliance fronts offer a grounding element that stands out from the rest of the kitchen. I've spoken about this before, how every kitchen or how every design space, it really doesn't matter, needs some sort of grounding element to help round out the kitchen. Typically, it's a minor element in the space. It's simply done with dark colors, say something like your cabinet hardware, maybe the faucet or faucets. It could be your lighting, maybe stools on an island, or it can even be the island as a whole. It really just depends on the space. By this point, you're probably also seeing how popular white and wood kitchens really are. I don't like calling it a trend. It isn't one by any stretch of the imagination. It's been around for a really long time, but something just really seems different this year. No matter how you are designing a space, if you have white, wood, and black, it's really hard to go wrong with that combo, and the trend continues with number 5. This is another kitchen that falls under the Scandi style, except for this time, it's all about the vertical lines drawing the eye upward toward the sloped ceiling. The white cabinet doors, the vertical graining on the cabinet fronts, the wood post, even the fridge door handles all push your eyes upward. When you zoom out a little further, you get an idea for how big the space actually is. But I think they did a great job of using the entire back half of this living area in a way that allows it to work together, but still feel like separate spaces. Plus, what a bonus having all of that storage across the dining room wall. I'm a little curious to know why they didn't add any pendant lighting over top of the kitchen island. It'd be really interesting to understand their intentions and hear why they didn't go that route. My guess is maybe because they want to keep the sightlines really open to that backyard through those windows. Maybe they didn't want it to compete with the vertical column that's already by there. And based on the height of the dining room light, that's sort of the direction I'm leaning, but nonetheless, it would be interesting to know why, because it seems like it would be a perfect place to add another one of those black, bold elements. All right, it's time to shake things up a little here. We've had a lot of similar tonnage in the kitchens for the last few. And at number 4, this kitchen really does that. And it's a space that just makes you say, wow. You can't look at this kitchen and not see the cabinets. The tealy blue is bold and in your face, but I really like it. It's bold enough to draw you in, but it's not an off-putting color choice in any way. There are a lot of little elements that also help elevate this kitchen. The details in the island feet, the rounded island corner with the OG edge, the bookmark backsplash centered behind the range, the wooden touches in the range hood and arched inset cabinet in the wall, and the aged bronze light fixtures and cabinet hardware. And tucked off to the right of that built-in fridge is a nice little butler's pantry. It offers some extra storage, extra countertops for some of those items you might just not want in your main kitchen. This kitchen is a fantastic example of how you can mold transitional design to fit your taste and style. By all accounts, there's a lot of really traditional features of this kitchen. However, the paint color, the slab and shaker door combos, and the island chairs all really help to modernize this space. This is one of those kitchens. It's just really, really well done. All I can say is, wow, kudos to the design team behind this one. I'm curious to hear what all of you think about kitchen number 3. It's a lot of white. It's a lot of cabinets. It's just a lot of stuff going on as a whole. It takes a minute to see the details amongst the white, but then I see the theme of twos. 2 islands, 2 sinks, 2 lights above each island, 2 windows, 2 open shelves, and it continues. Now the layout though actually reminds me of a client project I'm working on right now. And at first I kind of looked at the space and I was like, well, that seems silly. But then I started thinking about my client's project and it really starts to hit home how this space would actually be used. So the difference between this one and my client's is we were dealing with a U-shaped kitchen, an island, and then an appliance wall, if you will. And we really set it up to be kind of prep space on the front half and washing up space on the back half, which is what I'm guessing is very similar about this particular kitchen. Although there is a little too much white for me, I do like that they added several different wood elements to help warm up the space. Without these, it would be a pretty harsh kitchen. Maybe the range hood could have been all wood to help break up the white a little bit more. I love the inset cabinet doors. It's one of those touches that just takes a kitchen cabinet to a whole new level. I also like that the gold features aren't in your face. They're classic, simple, and left off the wood cabinets. This might just be my opinion, but I find it difficult to blend the goldy or bronze hardware on wood cabinets. I find they often compete in tone and can take away from the aesthetic of the kitchen as a whole. Instead, I prefer black hardware on my wood cabinets. I think that contrast provides a really sharp punch in a kitchen space. This is exactly what they did in this kitchen on the island, leaving the outward facing doors hardware free and using black handles on the interior. This keeps them from sticking out amongst the rest of the space, but adds a nice touch of mixed metals, almost a little surprise when you get around to the backside of the space by the washing up sink. The second last kitchen we're going to look at today is simple, yet feels very stately, and once again it opts for that white and wood combo. The first thing that catches my eye are the big wood beams. I think these are a great addition to a home with tall ceilings. They provide structure and interest, and in this case also warmth and coziness, but also allow you or give you permission to stop the cabinets at a more manageable height. Without the beams, the cabinets would have looked incomplete in this space not going to the ceiling. When I zoom out, I see the beams are a consistent feature in the house, as they are also present above the living area. They are divided by a wood-finished dining room, a feature that helps create a feeling of a standalone space, even though it is open to both sides. I like that the white cabinets are more of a muted white instead of a stark white from the previous design. The kitchen does a good job with the layout as well, making it a really easy space to work in. Everything is accessible from the cooking side of the island, with the only complaint maybe being that the appliances are a little too far apart. However, it's not that often that we go directly from our fridge to our cooktop or oven without first using the sink. The black wall lights, the faucets, and the hardware help to ground the design, and I really like the homey feeling backsplash. It would have been easy to add subway tile to this kitchen and call it a day. It probably would have looked great too, but the added detail and light color in these tiles is a nice touch. If I were to nitpick just a little bit, the only things I don't love about this kitchen are the island pendants and the bridge above the open shelving. First, I can only imagine how difficult those island pendants are to clean. However, I also just don't feel that they're really adding anything to the space. But hey, that's just my opinion. Last but not least, that brings us to kitchen number 1. And I love that this kitchen is sitting at number 1. And before I bring up the photos, I'll tell you why. I love that it's attainable for most people. A lot of the kitchens we've looked at would have renovation budgets well into the 6 figures. And although it's great to dissect these kitchens, look at them for inspiration, and pull out ideas, we have to remember that a lot of these features are probably out of reach. Things like custom cabinets, high-end carpentry, even the appliance packages are outrageously expensive in some of these kitchens. That's not the case with this particular space, and let me show you it now. I'll start out by saying you could create this look with RTA cabinets and a little bit of custom finishing. A huge shift from the high-end cabinets we've seen in some of the other kitchens. I love the navy blue island as a center point of the kitchen. It's actually Hail Navy, one of my favorite Benjamin Moore colors. The vertical shiplap on both sides is also a nice touch. The black faucet and cabinet hardware provides a nice contrast against the white cabinets, and the simple white quartz countertops keeps the kitchen feeling light and airy. They did a nice job balancing out the kitchen by adding wall cabinets along the fridge wall, providing that much needed storage, but keeping the window wall relatively open to let as much natural light in as possible. The extra details like the crown molding, the X detail on the range, and the vertical shiplap are what elevate this kitchen beyond your standard renovation. I even like the glass cabinet over the little coffee bar area to sort of denote this as a separate zone of the kitchen. Overall, that's a super functional kitchen. It's really well laid out, it'd be easy to work in, and it looks great. Kudos to that design and construction team. Now you probably would have noticed, a lot of today's kitchen employed that L-shape or U-shape layout to the space. Generally, the L-shape or U-shape layout provide a really good mix of wall space to have cabinets, appliances, a lot of countertop room, and still leave you well set up to include an island, which every single space we looked at today had. However, had you removed the island from a lot of these, you would have still had a really functional kitchen. That does it for this video. Hopefully you found this exercise helpful, even if it just gave you an idea on how to dissect these kitchen photos or kitchens for yourself to pull out ideas that could work in your own space. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. That project, that collaboration is coming down the line really quickly and you're not going to want to miss it. Thanks a ton for watching, everyone, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.